Welcome to the Katie Wellness Show, where you get the tools, knowledge, and inspiration you need to transform your health and wellness, body, mind, and spirit. You'll learn holistic and practical wellness strategies that empower you to reclaim your health and fully step into your power. You belong here as you learn to tap into your intuition to support your body every step of the way. Let go of what's no longer serving you and teach these tools and strategies to your family to raise emotionally and physically resilient children. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode. This week we are focusing on transforming your health and wellness through your mind, through your thoughts, through your beliefs, and through your mindset. I'm going to share a phrase that I keep hearing in my life that under the surface kind of makes my blood boil just a little bit. And once I share it with you, if you feel defensive or called out in any way, rather than shut down or fight, I want you to get curious, see where this defensiveness is coming from. The phrase that I keep hearing is, I don't have time. Can we just agree to stop using this as an excuse? Because that's what it is. It's an excuse. Everyone has the same time available to them. And I don't say this as a 20-year-old fitness influencer who has 5 hours a day to be in the gym and recording and all of that. No, I am a mom and a wife. I have 3 boys. I homeschool them. We have a mini farm going on, a garden. I serve as primary president. My boys and I do community service often, and they are each involved in extracurricular activities that I'm constantly getting them to their lessons. I am very health conscious. I make 3 meals, mostly from scratch, a day at home. I am running a business. I am a wife who's dedicated to making her marriage strong. I am a woman who is dedicated to making her health the best that it can be. For some of you, this list of roles and responsibilities might make your head spin, and you might be thinking, Lindsey, what are you thinking? That is too much. You're taking on too much. And for others of you, you might say, no, I take on way more than that. I have way more going on in my life. This is not about comparison or judging how other people spend their time. This is to show you that I do have a lot on my plate, that I'm not speaking as someone who has very few responsibilities. I do have a lot on my plate, and everything is there because I let it. It is there intentionally. And anything else that comes onto my plate has to be there because I let it. And if something else comes onto my plate, then I have to say no to something else. So let me ask you this. When someone asks you to help out with something or serve or be there for someone else, is your first instinct to say yes because that's where you feel like your value comes from? Yes, I will do that because I need to be helpful. Yes, because I can't let you down. Yes, because if I say no, then you're not going to like me anymore. Every time we say yes to something that is not a priority for ourselves, we are saying no to something that is a priority. We each have the agency to choose our priorities. And if it's important, you will make time for it. You are the only one who can choose your priorities. You are the one who has to set and withhold your boundaries. No one else is going to do it for you. And if you aren't proactive in setting those boundaries, or even clear with what your boundaries are, then someone else's priorities are going to be forced on you. Now, a boundary is something that you will do in response to someone else. So let's say someone asks you to be on the PTA and you know that that is not a priority for you right now. You know that it will stretch you too thin. Remember, we're agreeing to not say, I don't have time. Change the narrative in your head. Thank you for thinking of me, but that's not a priority for me right now. Or I really appreciate you asking me. Thank you for doing that, but my plate is already full. everything that is on my list right now is something that's there intentionally, and adding this one thing would have a negative effect on something that's already on my plate. By saying yes to being on the PTA, I'm saying no to intentional time with my family, or working on my health, or some other area is going to suffer. Every time you say yes, another area of a responsibility that you're already managing is going to suffer. So you have to set those clear boundaries, because if you don't, others will choose for you. Other people's emergencies will become yours, and you will feel trapped and you will feel resentful. Now imagine if you had a completely full schedule. You absolutely could not take on one more thing, and then you won an all expense paid trip to Hawaii. Would you say no because you, quote, didn't have time? If you do, you're crazy, but I would not. I would say, yes, I would make time for it. I'd get rid of what's on my list that doesn't matter. I would delegate. I'd say no to people asking me to do other things. I would prioritize making this trip. So it's not about whether you have time or not. It's about whether you're willing to make it a priority. So can we agree to let this belief go that I don't have time? Let's cancel that from our vocabulary. Let's replace it with, this is not a priority for me right now. And this belief that we sometimes say, or maybe we truly do believe it, the belief of I don't have time is bad programming, but it doesn't make you a bad human being. And continuing to live with this belief of I don't have time is choosing to live with a lack mentality mindset. And subconsciously, it will leave you feeling like you're never going to have enough, that you'll never catch up, that there's always going to be so much to do. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed and burnt out, typically resentful. It can start to feel like it's sucking the life out of you, even just this mentality of I don't have enough or I don't have time. And so if we can change that programming and look at it from a different perspective of this is not a priority for me right now, being upfront and honest, especially with yourself, but with others, it helps to set realistic expectations of what you can realistically manage or feel capable in managing. So, how do we begin to change this programming? How do we begin to move out of the lack mentality and this belief that I don't have time into I know what my priorities are, and I'm going to say no to anything that doesn't align with those priorities? First, you're going to do an audit of how you spend your time. And this is an exercise that can be done in like maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Maybe it's when you're waiting at the pickup to pick up your kids from school, or maybe it's in the quiet hours in the morning or the quiet time at night. Schedule this time. Schedule 15, 20, 30 minutes for yourself. Lock yourself in your car or your closet if you need to, but do an audit of how you're spending your time. Write down all the tasks and the roles that are taking your time. Write down everything. I did this when I had 3 really young kids, and I felt like my whole life was just spent making food and cleaning up food and wiping bums and cleaning up boogers and picking up messes. And it was so draining. And it wasn't that I was super busy, go, go, go all the time. It was that I had 3 young humans who were relying on me 100% of the time to keep them alive. And it was really draining. It was a really hard time for me in my motherhood. And I did this audit. I wrote down all the things that I was doing. And I looked at that list and I thought, what of these things are extra? What of this on here doesn't have to be done at all? And I crossed those out and it felt so liberating. And then I looked at the list and said, what on this list could be delegated? What on this list could I share with my husband, with my partner? Like what needs to be done, but doesn't always necessarily need to be done by me. And I circled those. And at a later date, I had a discussion with my husband about those things on there that I felt like were really draining my energy and just the life out of me almost. And a lot of it was like not that big of a deal, like needing more help with dishes or needing more help with laundry or needing more help caring for the kids when he got home from work or from school, whichever it was at the time. And that helped significantly, asking for help. Also, throughout this exercise of auditing how you're spending your time, I looked at this list and paid attention to the things that really felt draining to me. What feels like drudgery? What feels like, oh, that is the worst thing. I don't want to do that right now. And I asked myself, can this be simplified or changed in any way? And meal times were very draining for me, having to think about what we were cooking. Would everyone eat this? How long is it going to take me to make it? How many dishes am I going to dirty? Just, I know it seems really simple almost, or oversimplified, like, oh, it's just mealtime. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But for me, it felt very draining. And so I looked at it and I know that that is a task that could not be completely crossed off the list, right? We need food for nourishment. So how could this task be simplified? And for a long time, I had a theme for every day of meals. So Monday was meatless Monday or grilling for a long, like it depended on what we were, what phase I was going through. Tuesdays were Taco Tuesdays, so we did something more Mexican themed. Wednesdays was Wiggly Wednesday. I had young kids, so I tried to make it fun. It was Wiggly Wednesday, and we always had pasta with chicken or pasta with red sauce or spaghetti squash pasta, like finding ways to use pasta. Thursdays were typically a casserole day. Friday is pizza day. Saturday is leftover days, or I don't care what we're making, or breakfast. But I just found ways to simplify the process and try and ease that mental load a little bit so I could change this mindset of I don't have time into I know what my priorities are. So after you've done your audit of how you're spending your time, circle what has to be done by you and ask yourself, why is this task here? Or why is this responsibility here? Is this something I've taken on because I felt like I had to in order to gain some approval or in order to prove that I am worthy or that I am capable? Or is this task on there because it actually does need to be done and it gives me life and it gives me joy? And sometimes that line can also be really blurry. But I just want to encourage you, be really honest with yourself about tasks that are on your list. Is that there because it's something that you feel called to do, that you feel prompted and inspired to do? Or is that there because you feel like you're expected to do it? I'm willing to bet that a lot of the tasks on your list are there because either you yourself or someone else has put an expectation on you of what you should be doing. And you feel like in order to receive love or approval, that you've just accepted that it's part of your role. Can this be simplified? Can it be changed in any way? And does it actually need to be done? Is it a realistic expectation? Is it something that gives you life and that should be on your list? Is it something that should be a priority for you? These are questions that you're going to have to wrestle with yourself. Some answers are very obviously cross out. I don't need this. I don't know why it's on here. I'm going to say no, or I'm going to take it off. Or find a way out of whatever it is. And if there are so many tasks that are overwhelming you to the point where, you feel very anxious, or you feel like you really aren't in charge of your life anymore, that is a red flag that things need to change. And just know that you have the power to change. If you lack that belief, then that's another conversation that we need to have about reprogramming your brain. But we all have this desire within us to feel loved and to feel needed and to feel wanted. And I feel like for a lot of women, we have to prove that we are worthy of that love by serving others and by meeting everyone else's expectations. I just really want to encourage you and just let you know that you are worthy just as you are. And no amount of productivity, no amount of meeting other people's expectations or disappointing people because you can't meet their expectations, none of that will change your worth. You are worthy just as you are. Nothing changes that worth. When we start to place other people's expectations on ourselves, or if we have unrealistically high expectations for ourselves, and we base our worth off of that, it is a really quick way to go downhill, to feel unlovable, to feel unworthy, to feel like we don't matter or we're not enough. But I'm here to tell you, you are worthy just as you are. This is something that I say as an emotional processor, as an emotional facilitator all the time, because we are so programmed to think that our worth is tied to our accomplishments. And it's just not true. You are worthy just as you are. So as you're working to change this belief, this lack mentality, this belief that I don't have time, or feeling like we have to take on more than we are capable of in order to please others, just know that we're canceling this belief that I don't have time. We're canceling this belief that I have to say yes in order to receive love and approval. And know that you are worthy just as you are. Okay, so that was kind of a lot that came with just a simple phrase of I don't have time. But hopefully you were able to find some value or some little nuggets of wisdom. Just remember that every time you say yes to something that isn't a priority, you end up saying no to something that is. But you can change that programming. You can change that lack mentality from I don't have time to this is not a priority right now. And you can change the programming and release some of that overwhelm and some of that resentment by doing an audit of how you spend your time. And I really just hope this helps you. I know that in my life, I've done it several times, and it helps every single time to just allow space for what is taking my energy and what is taking my time. And it also is really validating to see how much I actually am doing that I've been somewhat managing. But when it gets to just be too much, then we really do need to do the audit of how we're spending our time and ask ourselves these tough questions of, does it really have to be done by me? Can it be someone else's responsibility? Is this not even necessary? So as you move forward, as you go forward in life, pay attention to the words that you use. Do they leave you in a lack mentality? Is it along this same line of, I don't have time? Or are you living in a place of abundance and joy because you are worthy of abundance and joy and peace and rest and love? And I'm rooting for you. Thank you for joining me this week, and I will see you next week.